Jamal Park says, how long did it take you to get back to making six figures after you originally lost your job? I know you were making six figures early in your 20s and trying to see how you got back to it. Motivation. I got some lump sums early because I had sold a company that I had built, but in corporate America to get back to six figures, I would say as soon as I went to Comerica. Let me look at the timeline. I don't know the exact year. I'll tell you the year. 2008 for about 4 years, maybe about a little over 4 years. Well, I don't consider my business income six figures because the business income is separate from what it was that I was making in corporate America. So it didn't take that long. I was probably down for about 3.5 years, to be honest with you, about 3.5 to 4 years. Um, yeah, about 3.5 to 4 years I was down. I was down bad at one point, but I gave up everything. Got my cars repossessed, gave up the money that I had to pay, and living expenses, shared expenses. We started becoming Arabs, man. We started becoming Asians and Arabs. That's a phenomenal question. We started becoming Asians and Arabs, and then we started leveraging and harnessing the power of all staying together because we was like, look, it's hard for everybody out here, but it'd be much easier for us to build if we all come back together. And so it wasn't just me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understood the benefits of my parents having us in there, and then it relieved them of some of the pressures financially. And we just started working together, and it brought us closer, to be honest with you. It brought us closer. Like, my daughter was raised around her grandmother and her mother and all of that, and we had more resources to really be able to invest instead of spending money on maintaining a lifestyle and having all of those cars. And so as soon as everything hit the fan, it was like, all right, time to get rid of this stuff, time to go back to square one and and implement all of the things that we've learned over the year. I will say this. I think that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I will say that's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me was going broke during the 2008 housing crisis because it forced me to get to the thing that I knew I was supposed to be doing in the first place. I've always had the knowledge. I lived in the library. I knew what was going on. I was already, dollar cost averaging and investing 25% of my income that I was making at my regular job into investments. But it was almost like I was coasting. And so as long as I was okay, I never really got all the way in, or I never really bought all the way into the thing that I was supposed to do and dedicate myself to finally getting. Like, I didn't go back to school to become a software engineer until I was already under duress. And I was like, skip it. I got to do something different because I don't want to keep being in a situation where I'm dependent on somebody else for a job. You know what I'm saying? I didn't start deep diving into really building my own companies until I was under duress. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to make something shake. And so, I put that work ethic that I had, but then I also applied the business acumen, and I went back to school, and I was like, yo, I'm going all the way in. I'm just going to go all in. I'm going all in on the thing that I know I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm willing to endure through it and see it through for the next 10, 20 years. And whatever happened, I'm just going to live with the results. And so it kind of forced me to actually live the life that I was supposed to live and live within my purpose by going broke. And so I'm very thankful that the housing crisis happened in 2008. And it was very, very much a blessing in hindsight. I know a lot of y'all be going through stuff. And sometimes what happens is you think that you're being punished, but you're being prepared. You think that you're being punished, but you're being prepared. When you go through stuff, when you lose a job, when a woman leaves you, or a man is dissing you, or somebody tells you no, or you get turned down and stuff. I remember videos that I did where I had went on a job interview during the time, but I wasn't quite there yet as far as getting the position that I was supposed to get. And I wound up doing a video of it, and then I dropped it on my channel, the Anton Daniels channel, and this was way before y'all ever really even discovered me for the Millionaire Morning Show and stuff. That gave me more motivation because the thing that they told me no about, they couldn't afford me now. They came back eventually after some years after I got my footing, and I had become way successful, and I couldn't take the offer that they gave me because they couldn't afford me anymore. You see what I'm saying? And I remember it was a CompuWare job that I had went on an interview for, and they told me I wasn't good enough because I wasn't educated the way that I was supposed to. So I went back to school, and I got educated because the education was the thing that got me in the door. They didn't feel like I didn't have the acumen, the business acumen to perform. They didn't think that I had the education, and so they got them straight out of college. But then years later, they wound up calling me in for an interview and giving me a tour, and they gave me a pitch. They were pitching me, and it wasn't the other way around. And so they couldn't afford me, though. They couldn't meet my number, and I didn't need them. And it was a beautiful feeling, but largely that came from being forced because of my circumstances. And the things you go through is either going to make you or it's going to break you. It's either going to make you or it's going to break you. Either it's going to make you become a monster or it's going to cause you to clam up and fall out and then basically put you out. Being in the middle and having a regular job and stuff, even though it's supposed to be the thing that you do temporarily until you get to the next level, most people then become dependent on it. And what happens is they then say, well, it's okay to just have a regular job or to be a middle class person. The middle class is a finesse. It's a farce. It's the thing that keeps you paying the most taxes. It makes you pay 30-year mortgages. 30 years, that's a long fucking time. It's a prison sentence. A 30-year contract, and I can't mess up for 3 months in a row. Think about that for a minute. A 30-year contract. I never aspired to be able to pay a mortgage for 30 years. I wanted to buy houses and build them and own them and put other people in the housing and make sure that I did them right and did good business. I never was interested in having a fucking 30-year mortgage. But see, the middle class is where you go for dreams to die. I'm telling you the truth. I'm speaking from the heart. The middle class is where dreams go to die. Because you think you're doing just good enough, because when you compare yourself to people that's below you, you're thankful enough to be where you are. But then when you compare yourself to people above you, you say that they're doing too much. And then that's when rich people get demonized. But we understand that money is a tool. And so either you're supposed to be rich or you're supposed to be poor. And poor people are in America, when we have the laws and marriages and all of this shit that we got and availability in school and community college and stuff, there's never been a better time for you to be able to align yourself with a group of people, including the person that you lay next to every day, in order to leverage it to become super successful. But then we get distracted and we say, well, no, marriage is so I can get boxed and love. And then you get caught up in all of these different ways in which they basically taxing you. Child support, the money that you're paying in taxes, thinking that you okay and you paying all of the inflation rates and the social services. Rich people not paying for that. That's you. That's you. They leaning harder on you because you don't understand how money works. You don't understand that you being in the middle class is a way for them to basically keep you shackled. You the prisoner. You as a solidly middle class. They even gave you layers to the middle class. Lower middle class, solidly middle class, upper middle class. They gave you layers to make you feel like you were progressing in life. And as long as you were solidly middle class and all you got to do is make sure that you work hard for the whole life and then you retire at 70 years old and then you die at 73, you've just become a part of the prison industrial complex known as capitalism. And you don't even know that you the sucker. You the sucker. I respect poor people more than I respect the middle class because at least poor people understand where they are on the totem pole and they're not disillusioned about what's really happening out here in these streets. The middle class is the ones that's getting finessed. And so it was a blessing for me to then divest myself from the idea that I'm doing okay by paying a car note. I'm doing okay by being able to have a house and a roof over my head. Just being thankful ain't enough. That's what the church teaches you. They teach you to keep paying your tithes and offering and be thankful that you even here in the first place, that God bless you to be better than the person that's at the bottom. That is not spirituality. That is not gospel. That is not prosperity. That is not the way that God wants you to live. And because you don't understand the word, because you have not delved into the word, because you do not understand your purpose on this earth, because you've divested yourself against what masculinity looks like, you don't understand how you're supposed to be living. You're not supposed to be regular. You're supposed to be irregular. We don't need no more regular people. We need people to really choose a side. Even God himself said, I don't rock with people that's on lukewarm. Either you hot or cold. I can't use you if you in the middle. Everybody in the middle get ran over. Everybody in the middle get ran over. Either be hot or cold, lukewarm, he spit you out of his mouth. And so what I'm telling you is that every part of your life is supposed to be meaningful. And when I say money, I'm using it as a metaphor to speak to other aspects of your life, because how you are in one thing is how you are in everything. How you are in one thing is how you are in everything. The way that you operate when it comes to being consistent with your content creation is the same way that you are on your job. It's the same way you are whether you late or you on time to church. It's the same way you are and you show up in your relationships. You give a halfway, middle class, average thing to everything that you do. Everything that you do, you satisfied with the public school system. Hey, at least my kid can go to school in a good district. You satisfied with that. You satisfied with only having the available option to be able to spend the residual income after you pay everybody, including the federal government, first. You never even thought, listen, let me figure out, let me go and get a book, let me understand something to understand how are the rich people doing it. They want to demonize it instead of understanding it. And everything you do, you got to get understanding. And so you need to divest yourself from this mindset that it's just okay to be okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay to be okay. Because eventually you're not going to be okay. And you know what happens when you're not okay? Eventually you fall to the wayside, because most people are saying that they're okay, but they only one paycheck, one disaster, one medical bill, one situationship from falling out of favor with the rest of society and being looked at as a leper. Because you know what we look at as people that's living van life? Poor, homeless. Homeless. Tiny home, homeless. Van life, homeless. You on the same level as the people that just got into this country as migrants. Y'all all living in shelters. All living in shelters. But I got a good job, but you got a negative net worth. You broke. You broke. You exist to pay people. That's it. Your life is the sum total of how much money that you can make that you can give to other people in interest payments just to be able to breathe. You broke. If you have a negative net worth and you make $100,000 a year, you're broke. You have the potential to do better, but you are nothing more than a number. You are broke. You are a social security number. People keep saying that good credit is the thing that they judge people by. Man, don't you know that you just a number in the system and they waiting for you to apply for something so that you can go and give your money to rich people? You broke. It's either lenders or it's borrowers. That's it. It's a lender and a borrower. That's it. Nothing more. Nothing more. If you're the lender, then you're taking a calculated risk and you're using somebody's credit score to determine whether or not they're going to pay you back way more money than what it costs them to borrow. And we've gotten so good at evaluating that. Now, we're just able to look at it based off of your payment history, your credit score, and seeing how much debt that you already have. And then looking at how much money you make to determine whether or not you have the capability of paying me first. And if you don't pay me first, I'm coming to get all your shit. I'm taking your house, I'm taking your cars, I'm taking your spouse. Because the person that you married to is now tied to you through the debt that you have, which is one of the reasons why we then would say we got to vet women based off of where we going, not where we at. Because they didn't, if they're not an injured spouse, you know what I'm talking about an injured spouse. You know, if you're not an injured spouse, you then become a liability. If he got child support and you marry him, you then are also responsible for the things that he got to pay for. And the things that he do is going to affect whether or not you're going to be the beneficiary of his greatness. And so because we don't understand this and we're having shallow fucking conversations that don't have nothing to do with the benefit of the black community. See, when you put these people, this is why it's so difficult for people to be able to stand in front of me, because I know it all across the board. And so when we stand in front of these blackity blacks, the only thing that they can say on is, we want reparations. I'm so much of a Neanderthal. Reparations. You don't even understand that you the fool. I laugh at you. I entertain you because it's good for content, but I laugh at you. You know why? Because I know that you don't even know what you're talking about, because you a fool. You an ignorant imbecile. That's it. And I laugh at you. And this is one of the reasons why it's so difficult for these people to stand in front of me, because I will destroy you. I look at your life and I can slice it up, down, left, right, and never even knew you just by your talking point. And I know you a sucker. I know you ain't built for it. I know that if a disaster hits or a pandemic hit or something else hit, you going to be in the same boat as everybody else. You ain't built for it. You ain't prepared for it. You can't help nobody. You can't even help yourself. You can't even help the woman that you opened her legs to and then gave her a child because she can't even depend on you in order to make sure that your child is straight. Your wife is scarred. Your life is scarred. Your parents are scarred. Your parents can't depend on you. But because we live in the middle and we looking for somebody to save us, give us free. Give us free. You looking for somebody to save you. Save me. Save me. Wake up. Wake up. At some point, you're going to have to wake the fuck up. And when you cut this internet off and you get done listening to these dudes that keep on preaching to you about how it's okay for you to be average and fucked up and open up your legs, everything about your life is average. Everything. That's it. You have no value. None. And the minute that you stop showing value to the people that you paying, they then gonna take all your shit and they gonna get rid of you. And they gonna say, hey, get yourself together for the next 7 years. Get your life back together. Repair yourself. And then come back and apply for another 30-year mortgage. Never wanted to be average. Never wanted to be in the middle. Never wanted to be like everybody else. I wanted to stand out, not fit in. I don't want to be like everybody. I don't want to be aligned with y'all. I don't want to be sitting here kicking it with people on some average shit. That's not how I live my life. Every single thing in my life is beyond. It's above. And I ain't even close to where it is that I'm going to be. My trajectory is there. Where is your trajectory? What do you want for your children? What do you want for your wife? What do you want for your husband? What do you want for your legacy? How do you want to leave this earth? What do you want your bank account to look like? What kind of cars do you want to drive? Where do you want to live, travel to? And how do you want to travel? Because do you want to sit in the back of the plane? Or do you want to sit in the front of the plane? Or do you want to get to the point to where you get to charter your own plane? Do you want to really, really take off and give people opportunities and change lives and contribute to charities and impact people's lives in a positive way and be a beacon of light for other people? Or do you just want to exist? Because it's a number attached to that. Because when you get done summarizing all of that, then we can put the number to it, reverse engineer it, and then tell you how you're supposed to get there based off of the milestones. Now go tell your blackety black leader to go tell you that. Go tell your pastor to give you that. At the end of the day, when you got out of church on Easter Sunday, ask you, did they give you something that was going to help you live your life better, or did y'all just go in there to see each other's outfits? I'm not there to make you feel good. I'm here to give you the information that you need in order to be successful, and then use my life and use my own receipts and then live my life like an open book so you can see my mistakes and my successes. And that's why I'm the closest thing to greatness that you'd have ever seen in your life. I don't need to do a movie role. I don't need to spit a lyric. I just spit these bars right here on this live stream, and you hear it with your heart. And regardless of whether or not you want to accept it, it don't mean it's any less true. Open up your heart. Open up your heart. Stop being so focused on how you feel about me and be more focused about whether or not it's the truth.